Welcome back to All Chat, the only League of Legends esports podcast made by the fans for the fans, bringing you the latest news and highlights from all four major regions every week. My name is Jack Dawes. I'm joined by Grayson Yada. Let's talk about some League of Legends.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
Let's talk about some League, Jack.
Let's get into it.
We had the playoff equinox, it's always good for it. We had the finals for LCS, which we'll get into.
Done and dusted.
Done and dusted. Now they have a month until MSI.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? We had this whole playoff equinox where all the teams were in playoffs at the same time, and now LCS is just done.
Yeah.
And they have 3 weeks or a month before MSI starts.
Yeah, hopefully those two teams don't take too long of a break, but we'll see. We get for them to watch.
Maybe it's just more boot camp time. That's the goal. That's the hope.
Exactly. Yeah, we had bangers kind of all over the place. The only place I would say there wasn't really bangers was the LPL, but and maybe LEC. I didn't get to see too much of LEC, but it was like the first weekend of playoffs over there. So
nothing too crazy, but some stuff we can talk about for sure.
Okay, bet. So in the LCK, Hano Life's really strong. We had two series over there. There's HLE versus Kwangdong Freaks, and then KT versus DPlus. I'm calling them DPlus again because they're not D-. They're not D- anymore.
Now it's KT Fraudsters.
Yeah. They got decimated. But the first series was
the KT series was pretty close, wasn't it? It was a 3-2 or something.
It was a 3-2. Yeah, they went to 5 games, but games 4 and 5 were just not close at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like DPlus just came out and smoked them, like almost perfect gamed them in game 4. And then game 5 was like pretty much the same thing. So
who was that off the back of? Like is SHOWMAKER back, or is it like Kingin, or
I'm calling it a
Perfect?
Coach. No, it was Kingin.
Oh, it is Kingin. Perfect is on KT. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it was a coach diff, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. So especially in game 5, they first picked Nico DPlus, and then KT drafted Azir as like a counter pick, I think. And then they went through their whole draft, and then on the 5th pick, final pick of the game, or of draft, SHOWMAKER pulls out Silas, and so is Nico support the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, and then by then, KT had drafted Alistar, Azir, and someone else. Oh, Gnar. So it's just like 3 really good ultimates for SHOWMAKER to steal, and SHOWMAKER Silas we know that it's
nasty,
a pretty solid Silas, and they just got gapped from like minute 1.
That's what I love about like the potential that draft has. Like that's the way that I love seeing draft being used, where you like intentionally pick things in a way to throw off your opponents or like bait them into picks that you're prepped into, and they think they're winning, and then you just throw in like a switch up right at the end. That's the way that I love seeing drafts played out. I would like way rather see that than just standard like this champ is broken, this champ is broken, this champ is broken. It's just like I love it when teams get creative, and I think it ends up with some of like the coolest league games and like the best moments too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was definitely like KT was not expecting that at all.
Yeah,
they fully thought that Nico was going in the mid lane, and then SHOWMAKER's like, nah, I'm playing Silas, and just smoked him on it. So, and then SHOWMAKER did have a really good series, especially on his Azir games. He would get behind a little bit, but then Azir is just a playmaker, so he would just set up the entire team in a team fight.
Yeah.
And KT just looked, I don't know, they were up 2-1, and then DPlus just turned it on. Lucid looked unreal. He actually looks disgusting.
Really?
Yeah.
We're finally getting like the Lucid we were promised, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Like he had so much hype going into the season. He has been like the most hyped prospect for like the last 2 years. He was just stuck behind Canyon,
Yeah,
and he actually showed why. I mean, his mechanics are unreal. Um, he had a bunch of like steals as well. Classic Pyosik Game 5 smite came into
that's what I
play.
heard. I
Yeah,
heard Pioshik missed like a million smites.
yeah. It was tough. It was tough. Lucid definitely had the edge over that, and
Yeah,
I don't know. It just felt like DPlus was kind of firing on all cylinders. KT looked maybe a little. I don't want to say overconfident, but they didn't really have any chances once they were down.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's good stuff to see D plus maybe back at it.
yeah,
Um, do you think they'll contend for MSI, or do you think it's still locked top three?
I think it's still
No.
locked top three. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna finish fourth. I think
Okay.
they're gonna get. I don't think they're gonna get smoked by Genji, but they're not gonna beat Genji.
Okay.
Um, in the other side of it, Han Life played Konong Freaks, smoked him 3-0.
Yep.
Sad day for the Yada household. Um, but HLE is
Rest
just
in
so
peace.
complete, and now they have T1. And I
Yeah.
honestly think with the way that Han Life's playing, they beat T1.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna like go on the record right now and say that Hano Life is beating T1, and we're getting the banger lower bracket final of T1 and DPlus.
Oh my god. Wow. Locked in.
Yeah, lock it in right now.
That's a
It's gonna
banger.
be Hano Life versus Genji in the upper bracket. So I was mistaken last week. I thought like Kwandong and KT were still in if they lost. They're out.
Oh,
So
it's single elim.
yeah, so
Okay.
like you had to get through the quarterfinal to make it to the lower bracket stage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now both like all these top four teams now they have a second life.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's top 4 is double elim, but you have to make it to top 4 to get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna end up being Genji versus Hanwha Life in the upper bracket, and then DK versus T1 in the lower bracket, and it's gonna be two bangers. And I
Wow.
think that it's gonna end up being. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not going to predict too far.
Yeah, I thought you were about to predict us through the whole finals.
Well, last time I did that, 100 Thieves got eliminated that week, so I was like,
True.
I'm just let the games play out. But
Yeah.
LCK was really fun. That the KTD Plus series was definitely the series of the playoff weekend for LCK.
Yeah.
But D Plus showed that they can play. They had some rough moments, but they're still, you can't knock them out or you can't count them out right now.
Man, KT may not win anything, but they sure do deliver bangers.
Oh yeah, exactly. If you want a 5-game series, just watch a KT series. They'll find a way for it to go to game 5.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one of the best series of all time for most people is the KT-IG series that happened in, what was that, 2018 Worlds?
18, yeah. That
like
KT
that,
super team.
Oh, that a lot of people think that was the real finals of Worlds that year, because then it was just, I think it was just IG and 3 Western teams, and they just 3-0'd Fnatic super quick in the finals. So,
Yeah.
Bangers only.
Bangers only. There weren't really bangers only in the LPL. I mean, okay, the Weibo series was good, but the OMG WE series was like really. OMG came out game 1, smoked WE, and then they just got dismantled the next 3 games. So I don't know what to really say. Like, it looks like some of the players were kind of trolling, honestly, in like games 2 and 3.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I think the game was like 9-0 at one point in game 2. Zhaofeng, their jungler for OMG, he was like missing Qs left and right. He failed a flash Q combo where he like flashed, and then the Q was sent from where he flashed from, not like after he flashed.
So wait, what champ was he playing?
He's playing Lee Sin.
Oh.
Yeah, my bad. Should have specified that. But
just flash Q and
flash Q. Oh, that could be fucking anybody.
Okay. Who knows?
But yeah, like Angel was just like running it down. Like the whole team was kind of just like running it down. Games 2 and 3. Um, Game 4 looked a little more competitive, and then like Zhaofeng, he played Lee Sin again and had like the craziest Lee Sin combos, like perfectly picking out Stay or Hope. Who I forget who the ADC is for Team
I think
WE.
it's Stay. Yeah,
Stay,
yeah,
yeah. He would like
yeah.
fully like pick out Stay in like a group of 5 people when he has like a 500 gold bounty, kick him back to the team, and like
Jesus.
bring OMG back into the game. But then they just lose. So
Then they just lost anyways.
yeah, they're gonna get
Didn't matter.
dismantled by Nip. So that's like
Yeah.
that's who they have next. I think that's pretty clearly 2 different tiers of teams. So
Is
yeah,
LPL single elim?
it is single elim. So
Okay.
until teams end up playing either BLG or top esports, then there's the lower bracket after that.
Okay.
So
So
I
is that
think
like
it's
a
like
top 4 situation again?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Um, and then the other series, not WE, Weibo Gaming versus IG.
Yeah.
Looked like an easy 3-0. Tianzhen was subbed in for Leyan.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
yeah, so you should know me, and then Tianzhen were like back. Well, yeah, technically back in the starting lineup because Tianzhen was like originally the jungler.
Yeah.
So games 1 and 2, those two were both playing, and then Weibo just smoked them. They came back in game 1, and then game 2 was just like an absolute stomp. And then they subbed Leyan in for games like the rest of the series, and they got games 3 and 4. So it was tied 2-2 after Leyan was subbed in. So it's like, why did you
Damn.
just play Leyan from the start?
Yeah.
So it was weird. And then also the fact that You Should Know Me was like subbed out the last week of regular season and then just subbed right back in for playoffs, also kind of weird. But yeah, IG became a completely different team once Leyan got subbed back in. They kind of stomped Weibo in games 3 and 4. Leyan played like an Italy game, and I forget
Classic.
who else he played, but yeah, smoked him on in games 3 and 4, and then it was just like a slow burn Weibo win in game 5. And now they have LNG.
Weren't we literally just talking about how Lan was putting up similar stats to Milky Way and like how insane Milky Way is?
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me that they would sub him out then. I really don't like the I don't know if they're going for like a 7-man roster thing where they're like purposefully trading players in and out. I feel like that never works.
Yeah.
I feel like that there's like almost never a situation where that's actually good. You know?
I mean, in the last 3 weeks, they basically went with 3 different rosters, like, which is so weird going into the like final week of the regular season or final weeks of the regular season, and then LPL or playoffs. Like, I don't know, that makes no sense to me. Especially like,
yeah,
maybe for the YSKM situation, there's something else. Like maybe you didn't get subbed out for his play. But I don't know. It's tough when you're playing with different guys every week, scrimming with different guys every week, and then you go into a series and it's not even the same jungler that you've been playing with all season.
I can't imagine that's good for like team synergy. You know,
yeah,
like playing with 5 different people every time. Not 5 different people, but you know what I mean. Like having a 7-man roster or whatever, or like an 8-man roster. It's like playing with different people every week. Like that would be so hard.
Yeah, and then like the first 2 games that Lan was subbed in for, they smoked Weibo.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if you just did that from the start, maybe you guys would still be in playoffs. But
yeah, just do that from game 1 and maybe you actually win the series.
Yeah, so it's weird. I don't know. Obviously, we're not coaches or managers, so
no,
maybe they know something that we don't. But coming from a fan perspective, it's like, thanks for the 5 games, but you guys probably could have taken it if you guys just played my hand from the start. But
just played normal.
Yeah, exactly. I saw people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, Tianzhen's more like a solid, just like all around jungler. Like he'll get the early game going." But he did not do that at all in games 1 and 2. So, well, actually, in game 1, they were up, and then Weibo came back.
Okay.
But in game 2, like it was like 13-1 kills at like the 14-minute mark or 20-minute mark, whatever. So it's
Jesus.
like, okay, maybe that theory is just wrong, but
none of this really matters either, right? Because like, are any of like is WE or Weibo making it past NIP or LNG? Like, probably not, right?
no, they're definitely not. And I'm not even saying that
Yeah,
because LNG is my favorite team. Like LNG is just a better team, and I think
yeah,
they're kind of firing on all cylinders. Like I would have LNG definitely in a higher tier than Weibo right now. Same
yeah,
with NIP and WE. Like they're in different tiers of each other. So it's like, what do you expect?
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Maybe Weibo will pull out some stuff, but I'm pretty confident that LNG and NIP both move on. So if NIP wins, they'll end up playing FPX, and then if LNG wins, they end up playing
Someone
JDG.
really?
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. And
Jeez.
then the loser of that is actually out too. So I think actually I don't know.
Man.
I might be trolling. We'll brush up on that next week after LNG and Nip come through
Yeah.
and pull it out for the boys. So
After everything that's happened so far, it just doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got from the East. It's nice having these playoff series. It's really fun
Yeah.
League of Legends to watch, and it's nice for us because we don't have to watch like, well, for me it's nice because I don't have to watch like 4 series in a night. It's like
Yeah.
1 and 1 or just one series a night. So it's nice, and they're best of fives. Best of fives are unreal. It's always
So
fun to
hyped
watch
to
a best of
watch.
five.
So
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. And everyone stay posted for our MSI episode too, because these teams are all going to get done, and there's going to be like I think we figured out there's like a 1 week break between when all the teams finish up and when MSI starts. So for that week's episode, it's pretty much going to be an all-in like prep for MSI kind of deal. So stay tuned for that. That's going to come at like the end of April, I think.
Mm-hmm. And we'll
Yeah.
have all the teams by then too. So it'll be hype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to
Moving on
go
to LEC.
LCS?
Oh,
LEC?
LCS.
Juked? You want to, which one? Where are we going?
I think we finished with LCS because that was like, I think we got to talk about LCS a little more in depth. We can kind of just brush over
Okay.
LEC because there's a lot of games played in the LEC this weekend.
Let's do it. So this weekend was Easter weekend, and I was busy doing some stuff with friends and family, so I actually wasn't able to catch every game, but I did go back and look into a few of them, and I was trying to stay up to date on Twitter while they were happening, so I have a general idea of how it went. And then I got to see the games today, Monday, which is when we're filming this, so I got to see the G2 Fnatic series and the BDS Vitality series, which are really the fun ones. So, man, where we're at right now, G2 and BDS are both locked top 3. They're both locked for upper bracket finals. For G2, completely expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're 4-0. Maybe the 4-0 wasn't expected. I think after they lost to Fnatic in the best of one, kind of near the end of their split, I think people were expecting it to be a closer series. Spoiler alert, it was not a close series. G2 giga stomped Fnatic. It was nuts. But yeah, G2 is 4-0. They're the only undefeated team in playoffs right now. And then BDS is 4-1, and that's the more surprising one, I think. Because I don't know if you remember going into this split and the playoffs, we had talked about what my expectations of these teams were, and the top actually ending the split. G2, Fnatic, Vitality, and Team Heretics were all tied for first at 6-3, and BDS was below them. And BDS actually came in and 2-0'd Team Heretics and then 2-1 Vitality. So I was not expecting that. but it's good looks. It's really good looks from BDS.
Yeah, it's the same like upper bracket as last playoffs, right? G2 versus BDS.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably not what anyone expected, but maybe with the path that they had, it's a little better because they didn't have to run into Fnatic or G2.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
Uh-huh.
it's definitely like a bit of a harder path for BDS this time around because I mean, they just had to play more.
Mm-hmm.
They started out lower down, but they're there, which means they guarantee top 3. I think that has implications for who can make MSI, but I don't know exactly what that is.
Uh-huh.
Also, that's considering that G2 win the split, which I think they will.
Uh-huh.
But if G2 doesn't win the split, whoever wins is going to make MSI. If G2 does win the split, then I think BDS locking third has implications on who can still make second and also get to MSI.
Okay.
We can update that next week when it's a little bit more clear.
Mm-hmm.
But the game that I really want to talk about is G2 versus Fnatic,
Uh-huh.
because it was like not close at all.
Really? Yeah, I was going into it. I was expecting it to be a close series just based on the previous matchup. So,
I mean, after the regular season, Fnatic actually took their game against G2 and they looked really good. And I thought Fnatic just looked good the entire split so far. And then they came in against G2, and the first game was not particularly close, but it was a little bit of a battle. And in the second game, G2 ended in like 20 minutes flat. There's a
20
screenshot
flat?
like 20 flat. Yeah.
What
there's a screenshot I saw on Twitter of 19 minutes versus like 20 minutes and some change into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And at 19 minutes, G2 is just grouped mid and they have the Rift Herald, but they're not even taking a tower. And then at 20, like just under 21 minutes, they're ending the game.
What?
It was crazy.
That's nuts. Okay.
Fnatic split up. A couple people left mid. I think they went top lane, and G2 were like, okay, we're just going to send it down mid. They just Rift Herald, took like every tower, killed a couple people, and just ended the game.
What the? Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. I got to go check that out.
They're in like prime playoff mode right now.
Classic
like,
G2. I mean, it's G2, right?
Yeah, it's G2. Yeah. But they were talking about in the interview after the game how they want to go undefeated in this playoffs. And I think they expect to. And they they honestly look bored. During the interview, that they sounded just like, yeah, you know,
just another
those games
series.
happen.
Whatever.
Just another series.
Yeah.
They've got to be so bored of just winning the LEC, man. Like, just every split. Like,
yeah. No more celebrations. Just business as usual.
Just get business done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really hype for MSI too, because it seems like G2 really know how to end a game once they get a lead.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play from behind, because they're not really getting challenged by a lot of these teams at this point, especially in playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 4-0 in playoffs right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they go up against these LPL and LCK teams and they can't just blow out the early game and end.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be really cool to see them play against the other like LCS teams and see if they can take games off of LPL and LCK teams.
Yeah, for sure. I think G2 is definitely like that in between team. Like they're kind of like the gatekeeper team. You know, you have like your bottom tier minor leagues, and I don't know if you can say LCS, but I think they're definitely in a tier higher than the LCS teams.
That seems to be the case most of the time. I mean, I guess it wasn't at Worlds last year because NRG 2-0'd them.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what happens at this MSI, because I have a low opinion of most of the LEC right now, and it's making me wonder if G2 is going to struggle at MSI because so many of these other teams are just not it. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, we've talked about it plenty of times before, but the LCS, I think the LCS is a better league competitive wise, or like, you know, parity wise, competitive wise. to the LEC. It may not look it when like C9's getting 3-0'd by like TL, or like 100 Thieves is just getting stomped too, but like I think those teams are probably better than like a GX, you know?
Oh yeah,
Right?
100%.
Like
Yeah,
you can't really argue that GX is just better than those
no,
teams. And like even for some of these other teams like SK, you know, maybe Mad Koi right now with how they've been playing. I think the higher end of LCS is definitely better than the higher end of LEC if you take it as like a group. But then G2 is just like the
yeah,
number one out of all the teams. So
yeah.
it is
I
going to be
really
interesting.
thought I really thought that it was going to at least be G2 and Fnatic that were up there, if not like G2 Fnatic Team Heretics. But
Mhm.
then Team Heretics lost 0-2 to BDS. I BDS won their series, but something about it, like I still don't have that much faith in them. Maybe I'll get proven wrong. Maybe they'll make finals, or I don't know, win the split. I don't think so, but maybe they'll do something like that and they'll prove me wrong. But it really feels like G2 and the rest right now.
Mhm.
And I think this is just the NA LCS believer in me, but I feel like FlyQuest and TL are going to be able to go toe to toe with G2. I
Oh,
just
I think so too.
You think so?
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I just
Maybe I'm just an NA coper too, but I don't know. Both those teams look pretty sick. So,
yeah.
especially
Let's
TL.
okay. Let's get into those. But real quick before we do, the cool thing in the BDS series,
Uh-huh.
so BDS played Vitality. They lost the first game, but
Uh-huh.
then they won games 2 and 3. And in games 2 and 3, they had back-to-back pentas. So in game 2, Ice got a Zeri penta, and in game 3, Nuke got a penta on Hui, which I
On
think
Hue?
yeah, I
What?
think is the first major region Hui Penta. I might
Probably.
I might be wrong about that, but I think that's right.
That's that's kind of wild. Did he just hit an R and just like it exploded on 4 guys or what?
Pretty much. They had this massive team fight where he walked in and like AoE'd, I don't know, 3 or 4 people or something like that, and then just like picked off the
Uh-huh.
last one basically. But he just blew up their entire team by himself, basically.
Damn.
uh,
I mean, that's kind
so
of
that
like
was
the karma penta that Showmaker had a few weeks ago. Like, just not someone you'd expect a pentakill on.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
know. It's like I think of Hui as doing a lot of damage, but it's usually like you go picks like one person off, you know?
Like setting someone up like to get the kill, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It was wild. They just he walked in and hit his abilities. I don't really know how Hui works.
Yeah.
I'm a
I
fraud
mean,
for
there's
that. I don't
16
know.
of them, so
Yeah.
so
So
don't worry.
I couldn't tell you, but it looked cool. So
Yeah. And it was a penta.
which it was penta. It was cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of pentas, I mean, UmTi,
UmTi,
Big
the
Jack's
general.
penta, the general.
That
Perma
was
stuck in
yeah.
bottom 2 in LCK, first split in LCS, wins.
Really makes you think.
Really makes you think. Really makes you think.
I I'm like so hyped on LCS right now, and then you reminded me of that the other day. You were like, "Man, UmTi was just perma bottom 2 in the in the LCK," and then he comes over and he wins the LCS on his first try. I was like, "Man, I really hope that doesn't say anything about the strengths of the leagues. That would be so sad."
Yeah, I don't know. I
I would
think
like to
TL is just
think it's because TL is just a better infrastructure, better players, better pizza, Papa John's. But I would like to think that it's just a TL diff and not that the LCS is that bad.
yeah. I think there's arguments to be made both ways. Like I think you could easily say that like a Nongshim would just smoke anyone in the LEC or LCS. But then there's arguments to be made that no, they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I don't think
Like,
so.
I don't think so either. Like, I think at the end of the day, like these top end teams from the LCS, they have players that have been to international tournaments. They have players that know how to win. I mean, heck, TL has 2 former world champions from the LCK, right? So like,
yeah,
surely there's some type of like world where Nongshim plays like a TL and TL just smokes him, but could be wrong.
that's actually so funny though that it's TLCK is is the joke, but they literally have 3 LCK players, former LCK players, and 2 of them are LCK world champs.
Yeah.
Like, if that team went into the LCK, where would they end?
Right? That's tough. That's honestly really tough. I feel like they would be bottom tier though.
No, come on. Team Liquid is bottom of LCK?
Well,
they don't
it
even make
depends on who you're
playoffs, you
filling.
don't think?
It depends on if you're filling out who you're filling out mid in ADC with.
No, same
You're
team.
saying, like,
Same team.
Oh,
The
same
full
team.
Yeah, whole team. Whole team goes.
I still don't think that they make playoffs.
They don't make playoffs?
Yeah.
Come on, man. There's
I
no
don't
way,
know.
right?
Dude, you think they're better than like DPlus or KT? Kwangdong's like the only team that you'd have to argue over, but dude, I don't know.
But like they have to be better than like DRX,
Bro and Nongshim. Yeah.
Bro. They got to be better than Furex. I think that
like
they're
right
probably
now, yeah, for sure. But like if you made that argument before the season or midway through the season,
that's a fair point. Okay, so because they were fourth place in the regular split, so does fourth place regular split TL make playoffs in the LCK? That's a tough one.
See, I don't know. It's too hard to do all this cross region bullshit that we've been doing. Like too many hypotheticals, man. Like
too many.
Heck,
who knows?
Yeah, who actually knows? Because we don't.
Knows?
We can talk about it all we want, but at the end of the day, I think once we see like an MSI where we see number 1 seed out of LCS play number 1 seed out of LCK, we'll get a better idea of what the comparison is.
Okay, then let's move on to what we do know. How about that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we do know. What we do know is Team Liquid takes the dub in the LCS. They 3-0'd Cloud9. Cloud9 is in shambles.
Yeah.
This is out on MSI during a year when 2 teams make MSI from the LCS. They miss out. They go into finals as the underdogs against FlyQuest, and they 3-1 in a series that was reminiscent of the NRG C9 series from last split, end of last year. Absolutely just take FlyQuest, to town, stomp them. It was one of those series where it was like, it felt so convincingly TL pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
FlyQuest got that game too. They brought it back, but it felt like one of those games. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it felt like one of those games where it was like Team Liquid is going to win this series, but FlyQuest is able to like sneak one in, It didn't feel like FlyQuest, like once the first game was over, it really felt like FlyQuest is not going to win this series. They snuck a win in, but it felt pretty convincing from from TL, in my opinion.
TL just wanted that shit way more, dude. You could tell that they just wanted that. Like, I don't know, FlyQuest, maybe they went a little complacent after going first place regular season, upper bracket winner, like 3-0'd C9. They weren't expecting the TL grit and grind and just dogs that they have in their team.
Who knew that after the Cloud9 3-0 over 100 Thieves, that 3-0ing Cloud9 would just be
the trend,
the easy part?
Yeah.
Who knew that would just be the trendy thing to do?
Yeah,
just 3-0 Cloud9 and move on with your life.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. That C9, I guess they didn't take a single game after they 3-0'd TL, or not TL, 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Which is
so they
Wild.
So they just went 3-6, right? Because they just played 3 series, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
crazy.
We did this thing last time where I called 100 Thieves 100 frauds, and I tried to do quick math in my head of how many what their game score was in playoffs, and I was wrong. And I said it multiple times. I was like 4-7, 4-7, but it was like 4-8 or something. I'm not gonna try and do quick math anymore.
Yeah. No more quick
Cloud9
math.
lost.
C9, yeah, C9 has a lot of question marks going in this off season here because
Yeah.
I don't know, they look tough. I saw this video that C9 posted. It was like a berserker deep dive. They posted it right before the playoffs or right before this weekend, and like they had this dude crying, bro, like and punching doors and shit. Yeah, like
I think I heard about this. I just didn't see the video.
yeah, like it's all happy go lucky for like the first couple minutes, blah blah blah. Like they're playing pickleball or some like whatever, and then it cuts to like Berserker arguing with Blabber and like the whole team. Like, why doesn't anyone take Scrim seriously? Like what's the point? Like why does JoJo just in and then say it's okay, and then we just like all move on? Like no one, basically like lack of accountability on the team, and just like maybe like a lack of drive, like drive to be the number one team or like number one players in their roles. Like maybe they just kind of feel like, oh yeah, we are number one and that's it. Like we're just number one. Like we're the best players in every role. Maybe that's what they think. But Berserker was like he's getting heated and he like punched the door on the way out. It was all about, it was like all behind closed doors. But you could tell that he was definitely in tears, just like trying to plead with his teammates, like, hey, like we need to pick it up, like we're not gonna get to where we want to be if we just like let things go in scrims and then let things go on stage and just in on stage and then move on. So
Man, so where does that leave Cloud9 for next split? Because they're a super team, power ranked number one by everyone. They have a middling split. They have one really dominant series against 100 Thieves, and then they completely crash and burn 0-6 against the top 2 teams after that. Like where do we end up?
yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people calling for Fudge's head. I've seen a lot of people
Yeah.
calling for Mithy's head.
Yeah, those are the two. It's a lot of people either saying this should be Fudge's last split on Cloud9, or some people are saying that it will be. I don't know if they have any actual like intel on this, or if it's just like people behind the scenes who think that it should be his last split and are just saying that it will be. But I've seen both. I've seen like fans saying this should be Fudge's last split, and then I've seen content creators and people like that saying that it will be his last split and that he won't be on Cloud9 anymore. And then I've seen a bunch of people calling for Mithy's head, like you said too, from a coaching angle.
Yeah.
I don't. This is the hard thing, right? How do you judge a coach in League of Legends, right? Because it's like the esport is pretty new, and without being there in person and seeing what happens, it's so impossible to know what a coach actually does or like how much impact they actually have. But people have been pointing out this like feature of Cloud9 recently where they just pretty much routinely have really bad drafting and not great macro and like overall game understanding, and it seems like Cloud9 relies on like outhandsing the other team or like blowing out the other team
picks,
early. Yeah, comfort picks,
not like an actual team strategy going into the game. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't disagree with that. I would like to see a smarter Cloud9, a more like well-rounded Cloud9. So I don't know. I don't know where that leaves us. I really like Fudge. I don't want them to kick Fudge, and I really like Mithy too. But at some point, you got to do something so that you don't miss MSI when you're power ranked 1 and there's 2 teams that go. You know.
Yeah, I mean, all they had to do is win one series. All they had to do is beat TL, and
Yeah.
they just crashed and burned, like you said,
Oh my
3-0.
gosh.
So,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even close, you know?
No.
Like,
Not zero close games, especially the FlyQuest series too. I know we talked about that before, but JoJo having 0 kills, Jensen having 0 deaths, and then the TL series felt. I mean, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was the same shit, different day, right?
yeah.
It was like it wasn't close.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been saying TL is like on the come up, dude. You got to throw TL in the mix.
I hate you for that, by the way. We were making our predictions last week. You just started saying all this shit about TL, and I was calling you a fraud because you predicted 100 Thieves, and then they did it. So I hate you for that. I really hate you for that.
To be fair, like the things that I was arguing for TL were like, oh yeah, they're just like riding the momentum, you know, like
Yeah,
they're hot right now. And
that felt so real this weekend.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that I wanted to bring up is like momentum matters so much in League of Legends.
Yeah,
which is crazy, and it can change in the course of a series as well, which I think is wild.
Yeah,
and I think we saw that for sure. Like as soon as TL, like in the final yesterday, after game 2, FlyQuest was just talking hella shit in the hallway as they were going outside, and you could see that like the TL guys were getting annoyed. Like they mentioned it in like the post game interviews, like, oh, they were just talking so much, but you could see Bwipo and Inspired like literally just like talking right behind UmTi and I think maybe Yawn or Impact, and they're just like, you can tell that they're just like laughing and joking and like trying to say shit to like get in their heads. But
that
TL took that personally.
The post game interview with like Yawn and Core JJ, that shit was legendary.
Yeah.
That was such a good post game interview. Yawn just like talking his shit, man.
Dude, he sounded pissed, bro.
That sounded like it had been boiling up inside of him like the entire split.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, sit down. Like, if you can't play to the level that you're chatting at, you better, come back next time. Like, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yawn was talking his shit.
Yeah. And Yawn's usually like a pretty trolly guy. And for him to be like he is so serious. He was like, I gotta get this out,
Yeah.
So that was unreal. And I'm so happy for just that whole team. APA might be a young GOAT in the making, dude. Like,
dude. It's playoff APA, man.
Playoff APA, like 2 splits, 2 internationals, 1 championship. Like, it's a pretty good track record, if you ask me.
We were talking at the start of playoffs, and it wasn't even the start of playoffs. It was once we had our final 4. It was once we had TLC9 and FlyQuest and 100 Thieves, I think, we're like the top 4. And we were saying, if TL is going to win this playoffs, APA has to go through the 3 best mid laners in the league. He has to go through Quid,
JoJo,
Jensen, and JoJo. Right? And then he just turned on and just railed them. It was insane.
Yeah, it went back to back to back. It just stomped. I don't know. Like, it didn't feel like there's anything any of those guys could do against him. And Sven brought this up on the broadcast. He was like, everyone used to dog APA for only relying on his comfort picks, his Ziggs, his Aurelion Soul. And those were the picks that ended up being difference makers in all their series, where it's like they just didn't have answers for those picks. And then his other champion pool, just with the standard mid laner meta picks, looks really good too. Like, they're not dominant the same way that his Asol and Ziggs are, but their replacement level, they're like top mid laner level. Yeah.
His Talia in playoffs was completely different than his Talia in the regular season. Like, his Talia in playoffs looked like Quid's Talia. Like, Quid's Talia, I thought the entire split was super, super good. I thought it was like one of those champs where you kind of have to ban it from him because he was just hitting highlight reels like every game. And then APA comes into playoffs, especially in these last 2 series, and he's doing the same thing. Like, he has this Ziggs pocket pick. He has the Asol pocket pick. It looks like other teams don't know how to deal with those, but then they ban those out or whatever, and he ends up on Talia, and he's just hitting clips on like everyone the entire game. It was sick. It was
Yeah.
so sick to watch.
Yeah, and I think that says so much about how APA has grown just over the past year and a
Oh
half
yeah,
and how much he just wants it.
yeah,
Um, like this dude looks like he's progressing at an exponential level right now.
yeah.
Like
He got Finals MVP. I just
Finals
remembered
MVP.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think well deserved. I think it's hard to pick who you're going to give it to on the TL roster after that series, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't think you're wrong in giving it to APA. You're not wrong in giving it to anyone, but APA definitely deserved it as well. So,
And what a Team Liquid team to finally come back and win a title, because their only other titles was the 4 back-to-backs that they had with Double Lift back in 2018 and 2019, where they were like this giga super team that was stomping the entire LCS. They hit 4 titles back to back, and then they've been quiet ever since then. But in that time, they've continued to build super teams and continued to build these like all-star rosters that they're trying to build to compete internationally and not even just win the split. They've never won the split. They've never done that well at internationals. And then they come back with Yon and APA as their 2 carries, which people, there's a whole meme going around that TL won the split with the 2 worst carries. I mean, clearly they're not. But like that was kind of the vibe going into playoffs, is that they had the worst carry position players. Both of them are NA players, and they win. It's so cool to see this team like embrace these newer players and come in and win.
yeah.
It was, the storylines going into this finals was so sick.
Oh, it was unreal. And then I also have to give a little shout out to their coach, right? Spawn. He was the one that kind of found these guys, or maybe not. Maybe he wasn't the one that found them, but he's the one that brought them up and coached them. Like he was their academy coach last year, or like the years before, right? And like you can tell when a coach has their players' backs, the players are going to reciprocate that. And I think that's what we're seeing with TL here. Like everyone wants to do it for Spawn. Spawn works his butt off to like do the best for his team. Always holding them accountable. Just a solid coach overall, based on what I've seen in their like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And that type of fight for your teammates, like that's stuff that you only see in like a T1, where it's like that type of camaraderie, that type of like team atmosphere. I think TL has that right now, which is really cool. Like,
so we were just talking about how it's kind of impossible to know what a coach actually does and like what value they bring. I think there's enough behind the scenes. Why did I say that so slow? There's enough behind the scenes content of Spawn that you can kind of start to get. I personally feel like I have a better idea of the kind of coach that Spawn is than most of the other coaches, just because I feel like you can get a good idea of the kind of coach he is from all this behind the scenes content. So, for example, Travis Gafford has been putting out some videos recently where he has
the tier list,
individual players. Yeah, the tier list. So it's either an individual player from a team or 2 players or a player and a coach or something, and they'll go through and they'll rank all the players in one position in the league. And there's 1 or 2 of them that have Spawn in it. The most recent one I was thinking of, I think there's a top lane one with Spawn and Impact. Spawn sounds so like grounded, so I don't know how to describe it. It just, he gives this like, when he talks, everything he says like makes so much sense. It seems like everything follows logically, like through a line of reasoning, and it's not just random. Like he's not just gonna put Blabber as like S tier because Blabber historically has been really good, if he was doing junglers or whatever, right? He's not just gonna chuck Blabber in S tier. It seems like he's really good at assessing player levels and understanding the game. I don't know, I think Spawn might be like a GOAT coach in the making. Your dog.
Yeah.
Freaking out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree though. Like I watched a lot of the behind the scenes, like throughout playoff stuff that TL has been putting out. And one of the videos, I think it was after their 100 Thieves series, they won, right? I think it was like a 3-1, and
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. And immediately after the series, like on stage, as or maybe not on stage, in the back, like whatever, right after the series, he's like, "Hey guys, like good series, but we have so much that we still need to work on. Like that was not a clean series. Like don't be complacent." Like those types of words. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, like be glad that you guys won, but there's still a lot that we need to work on if we want to beat the upper echelon.
yeah.
And clearly they did that, you know?
It
It's like
just
little
seems
things like
like
that.
promoting Spawn might have been one of the smartest things TL has done in a while. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah,
he
for
just
sure.
seems so smart.
Yeah. And I think
Um,
the pieces that he has, he's running with it, you know?
yeah,
You can kind of see that. I think he needed the buy-in from all of his players, and maybe that's why we saw TL not really as like a top team from. I
yeah,
mean, okay, maybe just like their performance-wise wasn't like insane for the first half of the split, right? But once you get that buy-in, I think Spawn has that right now, and I think TL has a lot of room to make some waves here in the next year.
yeah. Make some waves, turn some heads. I know how important turning heads is to you. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
uh, yeah. So before we end off, I don't know if we have too much more to say, but there's a couple TL things that I want to run by you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yon set the playoff record
Most
for most
kills.
kills in a
Yeah.
playoff. Part of that is they played about 1 million games in playoffs, so
Yeah.
he just had more games to get kills in than most of the other players. But for a player who I didn't have much to say about for much of the split
Mm-hmm.
and hasn't looked like a real star or anything, to come into playoffs and turn into this like absolute monster in the bot lane and then go and break FBI's kill record, that was
Uh-huh.
crazy. That
Yeah.
was nuts. That was super cool.
Yeah.
So that was sick.
Uh-huh.
Another cool thing, Core JJ can in fact win a title without double lift.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed.
Yep.
So that's good to know. Core JJ has 3 titles now. Pretty sick.
Uh-huh.
And then the other big one is Impact. Does
Number
this performance
6.
number 6? So he ties Bjergsen and Xmithy for 6 titles. Double Lift has 8.
Mm-hmm.
Does this cement Impact as the top lane GOAT in NA?
I mean, I haven't been watching too much like LCS for too long, but I think you have to say yeah. I mean, he's done it on 3 completely different teams,
Yeah.
right? 3?
Oh, I
3
think it's
teams? 2?
TL twice and EG one. I don't think he won a title with C9. I think was he there for all 4 of TL's titles
Oh,
before?
he probably was, yeah.
I think I don't think he
4
ever
and
won
then
a title with
EG
C9.
and then this one.
Yeah. So he's done it on 2 teams, but you know,
Yeah. 3
bunch of
different like
rosters.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Here's my thing. Has Impact ever been not a top 3 top laner in the league?
Maybe that little
No?
fly quest stint,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Like didn't he
But
go there?
even like
But that
even
doesn't mean he
on
was bad.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Because even on this 4th place Team Liquid roster during the regular split, he got 3rd team all pro, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And I thought if he didn't get it, he deserved it. I'm pretty sure he did. I think he might have gotten 2nd actually. I think that's right. I think he got 2nd. I think he got 2nd team all pro and Sniper got 3rd. I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm
don't know
crazy.
either. Yeah.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
he got all pro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think maybe he was the GOAT even before this win.
Uh-huh.
But 6 titles, you tie Bjergsen, you tie Xmithy, like the all-time greats in their positions.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much always top 2 or 3 top laners in the league. He's so solid.
Yeah.
So solid.
He is really solid, and he just does his job. Like his interviews are so funny. Just like I just play top.
I just did my job.
Yeah, I just play good top.
Yeah,
you know,
top die.
So
Yeah,
I think that argument is you can definitely make that argument.
yeah.
Top lane go. I think I don't even think that's an argument at this point. 6 titles.
No. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like who else it would be, and
No one
there's some
really.
other names you could throw in there, but I think it's got to be Impact.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Especially like in the role that he is on that team, like having to play such like a vet, show the ropes type of role recently, whereas before
yeah,
he could just be like the straight carry. You know, now
yeah.
he's like showing how to win, teaching these young guys how to win. You know, so
It's crazy that he won Worlds like 10 years ago
yeah.
on Jax. He like has his Jax skin, and
Oh
now he's just been a top 2 or 3 top laner in the LCS ever since then.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
This guy is like, I know he's in the LCS. I know he's not in the LCK or the LPI or LPL, but that's like faker level of consistency,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
crazy.
You can't knock that, you know.
No.
The results don't lie, you know. Trophies don't lie.
Yeah.
So,
And he is a
yeah.
world champion. So
And he is a world
you
I
can't
mean
even take
like
that away from him.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's domestic stud. Internationally, he's got it done.
Yeah.
What else do you have to say? He's just showing the ropes now, you know. He's showing APA Yawn, UmTi how to win.
He's just him.
He's just him. He has a
Yeah.
really good impact.
Dude, shut up. This always happens. We always get down to like the end of the episode and it's just time for random bullshit.
Well, do you have anything
Man.
else to say here?
No.
No,
Not
okay.
really. Oh, I guess the only other thing is just I hope FlyQuest finds a good form for MSI
Mhm.
because we were talking so positively about them before. I still have a really high opinion of them. I think you're right. I think they got complacent in finals, and I think that they really didn't show what they're fully capable of. So I hope that they took it as a learning experience and that they go to MSI and they look even better. And I hope they don't just get shit on by everyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm just gonna say I called TL winning from last episode. So,
Dude, whatever.
anyways,
Whatever, Anyways.
thanks for listening. No, I'm just kidding. That's your job.
I mean, I guess we can call it there.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. So,
All right.
except for rip.
Thank you for
Quandong
listening
Freaks.
to episode 12. Shut up about Quandong Freaks. We're ending the episode.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to episode 12 of All Chat. As always, check the links in our bio for all of our social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube, on all your favorite podcasting platforms. We really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us. It's been really fun making these. We're just going to keep going. We're continuing to try and find new ways to, make the content better, make our approach better. So you guys keep giving us feedback and we'll keep making improvements. And we'll call it there.
Yeah, as always, All Chat's about the fans for the fans, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
I mean, honestly, I'm not the person to shit talk someone after I win, but my God, they will not shut up after they won. If you guys want to trash talk, be as good as this guy.